let's get going and then people can catch up as and when we start. So hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to How to Personalize with Gamification. So we'll do some intros, but I just want to say why we're here today and what we're here to talk about. So as we all know, data collection on the internet is changing. Dropping a cookie doesn't cut it any longer and has become pushy and invasive. And customers want more control, transparency, and choice over how their data is used. So today, what we're going to share is how game mechanics can gather permissions and enrich customer data in a more transparent way. And when used in conjunction with Fresh Relevance, this data gathered from gamification can create stronger customer profiles to really maximize that customer experience. So for some introductions, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Vicky Beach, Partnership Manager here at Fresh Relevance. I work with all of our wonderful partners to ensure that our clients and prospective clients work with the best tech in the industry. And joining me today is Richard Robinson.
Thanks, Vicky. Yes, I'm Richard Robinson and I'm General Manager at Leadfamly. I spend most of my time working with brands to help them better understand and engage with their customers across the full customer journey and driving everyday business impact through the use of gamification in marketing.
Amazing. And there's a bit of an agenda, what to expect. So a couple of intros now, then on to the nitty gritty of how to personalize with gamification and time for a Q&A at the end. So guys, if you've got any questions throughout, please don't be shy, put them in the chat and any comments, just get them in there and Richard will keep a close eye so we can get them answered at the end or throughout. Firstly, just to introduce what Fresh Relevance do day in, day out. In a nutshell, we are a personalization and decision engine that automate the customer experience using a versatile range of tools. We integrate with your tech stack to really drive conversion rate and retention and just ultimately just really deliver that more enriched customer experience. And we can be used and we're built to be used across teams and channels. So in an ideal world, all the teams would be using similar technologies, but it's just not reality in this day and age just yet. So we can be split across teams.
And from a Leadfamly perspective, we're a software as a service company and we've developed a platform that enables marketeers to create, build and execute online games to support their business and marketing objectives. Our platform has over 30 game templates built in, so it takes out any requirement at all for coding. You simply choose the game format to meet your objective, create, add your own creative, so you have a completely bespoke look and feel, and then push it out through any of your required execution channels. It could be your website, social media, email, advertising. We've got over 500 companies using our platform, engaging over 5 million consumers monthly through games that they've built in the platform. And that's who we are.
Amazing. So let's get into it. What is the right data to use? So to kick off, I think it's really important to start looking at what data you are using for gamification and personalization with obviously the change in the industry that we're all seeing. So let's cover the types of data that are available and can be utilized. So I'm aware we have a pretty broad audience today, so I wanted to start with some clear definitions and why it is so important today with what is happening with regard to restrictions and these different types of data. So first up, zero-party data. So this is the information a customer provides freely and explicitly to a company, and organizations have the control of the questions they ask to their customers. First party cookies. So they are set directly by the website you're on. So either by a publisher's web server or by the JavaScript loaded on the website. And these cookies can only the same domain can access them. So only on the website they are being tracked. And they allow websites to do lots of things. So they remember your session, collect analytics data, and perform other really useful functions to help provide a really good user experience. So on to the third point, third-party cookies. So they're created by domains other than the one you're visiting directly. So they're used for different purposes, such as cross-site tracking, retargeting, and ad serving. But as you know, servers are restricting use of these. And lastly, super cookies. So in a quest to track website visitors, businesses go further than third-party cookies by undertaking a practice called fingerprinting. Now, this is done using super cookies, which are used in place of ordinary cookies to store user identifiers. But they are becoming increasingly hard to delete and block, which is making it near enough impossible for users to protect their privacy when browsing online. So as we're all aware, the cookie landscape is changing as browsers are cracking down even harder on third-party and super cookies in a bid to protect the users online and their privacy. As you'll probably guessed, it's important to note that Leadfamly and Fresh Relevance only operate using first-party and zero-party data. So the restrictions don't hinder how we work, and we're going to dig into these two types of data a little bit more now. So starting with first-party data. So first-party data, such as the actions a customer takes across the website, is the backbone to any good user experience and personalization strategy. It's packed full of behavioral insights, implied interest, and it allows marketeers to really personalize that experience across all stages of the journey. It's unique to each particular shopper, indicative of their behavior, and it's completely free. However, it does take time to collect, therefore it takes time to make sure that this data is actionable and therefore can be used to personalize the experience. And then if we look at zero-party data in a little bit more detail. So as we say, this is provided freely and explicitly by the customer. It's genuinely very accurate. It respects their privacy, and organisations are in control of the questions that they ask customers. Two things to bear in mind, though, is that customers expect something in return. So if they're giving across information, you need to be able to meet these expectations and personalise the experience accordingly. And likewise, it's important to not overwhelm a customer and ask for too much all at once. We've all had it sometimes as a survey online, and it's asking for too many things and you just want to fill it in. So that's why it is imperative to use great platforms like Leadfamly to gather this data in a fun, engaging and succinct way. So in an ideal world, we are going to use a combination of these. So first party helps marketers infer a customer's interests and preferences, while zero provides explicit information to add depth to customer profiles. So bear in mind, you need technologies that enable a combination of both data to provide that fully optimized experience. And we're going to go into four tactics of how we do this. But first, Richard is just going to dig into gamification a little bit further.
Thanks, Vicky. So I want to tell you a little bit about the power of gamification and where it comes from. And the fact is that it works because of game mechanics, and game mechanics appeal to us on a very human level. The way that our brains work mean that we're hardwired to receive and process information, engage and interact in certain ways, and game mechanics just stimulates that. At Leadfamly, we see that there are 5 core game mechanics, and it's worth just spending a moment running through those. The first one's competition, which is the backbone of gamification. We're all hardwired to compete, whether that's against somebody, something, or even ourselves. The next game mechanic is challenge. For a moment, just think about how you personally feel when you've undertaken a task that's not easy to accomplish. You have a real sense of satisfaction, right? And that's what a challenge is. It's a powerful way to drive huge amounts of engagement. The third mechanic is mirroring, which means that the person gets to see how they compare with others, not necessarily in a competitive way. It fills that very human need to see and feel where we belong and answers that question of how do I compare. The fourth mechanic is rewards, and we're all very familiar with these. And these are important, but they certainly don't need to be monetary. Intrinsic or extrinsic rewards work really well as motivators. And they can be as simple as feedback or some insights that you didn't know before, as well as being a gift voucher or some money off discounts. The final mechanic is fun, and we all love a bit of fun in our lives, but we shouldn't underestimate the value of fun. This is often a great value exchange with our consumers. They spend time with our brands that perhaps share some data in exchange for doing something that's fun and enjoyable. The amazing thing about these mechanics is how they make us feel when we experience them. So basically, there's a reaction in our brain as we experience surges of feel-good hormones such as dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and such like. And these really create those memorable moments for us between a consumer and a brand. So it's an incredibly powerful tool for you as brands.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Richard. So let's get into the 4 areas we can use zero-party and first-party data to offer that more optimized experience. So number 1, dynamic content. How can we use zero-party and first-party data to power more dynamic content for each individual shopper?
So what I'd like to do is just give a quick example, and this example is from a innovative cosmetics company called W7. And what they're doing here is that they actually, let me tell you a bit about them as a brand. As a brand, their aim is that everyone should have access to an extensive range of high quality cosmetics at affordable prices. And they have this tagline, which is "Who will you be today?" which you can see on the screen now. With this mission, gamification sits perfectly with them. And what I love about this example is that it actually doesn't feel like a game at all. Despite the fact it uses game mechanics, particularly mirroring, rewards, and fun. As you can see, they've used the swipe game format to help people to self-direct to products that best suit them. This provides me as a consumer an engaging and enjoyable experience that leads to something really tangible, that is a profile about me and what I would look best in. But also from a brand perspective, it provides a huge amount of insight into particular into a particular individual, down to kind of color preferences data, which they've freely given to you. This is a level of insight that you simply cannot capture in any other way. In addition, if you wrap around a registration form as part of this, you really start to collect information such as opt-in details. And this creates really powerful insights that you can then use across your wider marketing activities.
Amazing. Thanks, Richard. Great example. Color affinity is so important, and knowing that can help show the right content quicker in the journey that you might not have got from first party. So onto some content, and the hero banner is often the first thing that visitors see as soon as they arrive on store. Think of it as the headline of the website, and similarly goes for email marketing. So here, Getting Personal use zero-party data such as customer's name to personalize their email marketing with dynamic banners. So transforming your banner into a piece of dynamic content allows you to show customers the images that are most likely to spark their interest, build their confidence, and keep them on that email or on the website for that bit longer. And they've seen some amazing results from simply using someone's name in this particular campaign. So they saw a 37% sales uplift using dynamic name personalization. So incredible result there. A 15% increase in click-through rates and a 7% increase in conversion rates. So again, this is particularly relevant because obviously gifting, but just think of different ways that, you could be using zero-party data to change the dynamic content. So next up, how can we tailor the products people see using both data sets? So boosting product discovery and streamlining it using both data sets.
So I'd love to kind of talk through an example that really helps that, and that's with a company called Vera Moda. For those of you who don't know, Vera Moda are a leading fashion brand across Europe and are part of the bestseller portfolio of companies. They have retail outlets, but also do quite a lot of revenue online as well. And what they've done here is they wanted to drive 3 things, basically. First and foremost is they wanted to drive product discovery, particularly in their jeanwear range. They wanted to boost customer engagement, and they wanted to do it at a very fair, effective, and efficient price as possible. They designed this personality style quiz where consumers answered a series of questions, both the type and style of denim that they wear, but also more personal things such as what they like to do on a Saturday night, or even what's their ideal coffee order. Based on the answers provided, the consumer was given a short persona about themselves that then deep linked them into the products that this persona related to in the website. So based on the information they shared, they're actually given a bespoke set of clothes to look at. For the participant, they're having fun and enjoyable experience, and also given some advice that's really useful to them. For the brands, they were able to engage their audience in a beautiful and on-brand experience way for an incredible 2 minutes on average, actually, whilst also collecting significant insights and individual preferences. Coupled with this, Verimodo were able to drive significant revenue and also show significant return on investment.
Amazing. Another great example there. I mean, size, fit, color, all super important things to gather, which can be inferred by first party, but even more reliable and accurate from gamification, like you just said. So how can we refine product recommendations that are shown using zero-party data? So we all use recommendations. How can we do this? So for Animed Direct, they're a pet brand in the UK. Their primary retention channel is email, which means sending relevant communications is vital to keeping customers engaged and boosting repeat purchases. So here, Animed use the type of pet the customer owns to personalize the product recommendations displayed in their marketing emails. In this case, showcasing dog-related products. So we all know recommendations make it super easy for customers to shop online and an email. So if we know someone is only in the market for dog products, let's use a combination approach of first party and zero party to help marketers boost the effectiveness of these recommendations. And testing is something to consider here too. Don't just try one type of recommendation. A/B test 4 types alongside each other to see what is converting most for your shoppers. So you could do previously browsed, top sellers, similar products, people like you buy, all very good recommendations and all offer different products to different people in the buying journey. So good element to test and see how it affects the conversion rate of your emails that are on site. Number 3, so re-engaging existing customers. So we're now further down the customer lifecycle stage at returning customers. So what information can they give to make the experience even more tailored to them?
And Vicky, this is an incredibly important part of marketing today, is how do you re-engage existing customers. I saw some research just recently where McKinsey said that something like 60% of consumers in the UK had changed the way that they shop, the brands that they shop with and the shops that they go to in the last 12 months. So there's huge amount of consumers being fickle. In this example, I'd like to chat through something that Aldi are doing. And they wanted to grab the attention of their audience and re-engage with lapsed or low engaged customers. As you probably know, the grocery shoppers tend to be pretty fickle. There's some research that showed that 83% of consumers visit up to 9 different grocery chains each year. Sounds my idea of hell. So capturing a greater share of wallet is a vital part of that strategy. In this example, Aldi used a spot the difference game, which promoted the feel for summer and for holidays. The game was promoted organically through their social media and also through their email. Again, the aim was to re-engage low engaged customers. The campaign used many different game mechanics, including the challenge, the competition, and the fun, and also getting a reward. Talking of which, I believe for this one, the reward was to win a big box of ice cream, which sounds a pretty good incentive to me. The results were really quite impressive. Within the first 10 days, they'd achieved over 15,000 unique gameplays and consumers spending over 1.5 minutes. And what they saw is actually 74% of those that played the game went on to purchase from Aldi. So incredibly powerful way to re-engage with those lapsed customers.
Amazing results there. And yeah, you make a really good point with obviously the competition that's happening in the market at the moment and yeah, people not engaging with brands in bricks and mortar anymore. It's all solely online. It's really important to listen and hear out what they're interested in and obviously capture them at the right time. So onto something here that's could be used even more, and I know lots of brands do, but just something to bear in mind. So most of us eagerly share our date of birth with retailers, restaurants, brands in exchange for that maybe on their birthday they'll get some discounts and treats. This information enables marketers to delight their customers and send them a token of appreciation on that special day. And actually, birthday emails generate a 342% higher revenue per email than promotional emails. So the customer won't be the only one celebrating. It's obviously a high revenue email. So marketers can obviously send an email with a coupon, but let's take it a step further. So combine zero-party and first-party data by actually personalizing this email a step further. So putting in a personalized coupon on their birthday with some frequently browsed products or their favorite purchase product category. So making that email really easy for them to not just see a code, but also see content that's relevant to them and make them convert. And a targeted offer is much more likely to resonate with them than something that isn't. And also something to bear in mind is if you're sending a coupon an email, make sure if they go onto the website that coupon follows them around. So joining up that email and on website to just make sure that they don't forget about it. It increases the exposure and the redemption rate. And something else to consider here, so returning visitors, a bit of a different example with travel, and hopefully we'll all be able to travel soon. But usually when you're looking for holidays, you're looking for a certain place for a certain time. And this example here is use first-party data to remind the browser of what they were looking at. So this person was looking at a cottage in Devon. They'd be lucky to book one right now. But we could take this a step further and use game mechanics to retrieve more information. So where are they looking to go? When? How many people? What facilities they want? And much more information. So when they return to the site, we'd use this information to only show products that fit within these different categories to make sure it's really targeted for where they want to go on their next holiday. And lastly, location-based experiences. So what do we know about someone's location, where they are right now, where they live, where they're going, and how can we tailor the experience based on this?
So just before I get onto this particular case study, it just reminds me what you were saying there, Vicky, is that it's my birthday coming up soon. So I'm really looking forward to those very personalized offers and discounts on all of that, those wonderful products that I buy.
Keep your eye out.
Exactly. So this example is from Co-op in Denmark, actually. And for Co-op, a critical part of their strategy is a mobile app. And the beauty of mobile is that you get so much location-based data that you're able to collect and able to use. For Co-op, location is important. In fact, it's one of the key mechanics that Co-op uses as part of the app is to drive customers into store. And gamification provides a perfect tool for doing this. Just think, as a consumer, I play a game. If I'm successful, I win a voucher or a discount code. And then I'm able to be directed to my local store to actually go and redeem that code. And for Co-op, in the first year of using gamification in their app, they saw over 10 million gameplays and over 1 million samples collected in those local stores. The engagement is impressive, but the real results are the impact on the business. Co-op ran some pre and post use of gamification analysis. And what the data told them was that those individuals that play games in the app actually increase frequency of visits to store by 58%, and their basket size increased by a whopping 33% as well. So a really good example of that location-based data, location knowledge, and driving activity on the back of that.
Amazing. I love another great example there. Another thing we can think about location is seasonality. So it can play a big part in buying habits and the behavior of customers depending on where they are. So if the product tells to it, just use this to advantage and test it out. So Lloyd's Pharmacy here, the leaf the bug behind. Was that my sense? Leave the bugs behind. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Banner is defined by weather and time of year too. So depending on the weather and time of year in someone's location, pushing different content. So there's a sun, snow, winter, sneeze, and they're just personalizing the products based on location, increase conversions, and just make it easier for that person to find what is relevant for them based on their location and season. And another great example of this, as shops open up, depending on where you are in the world, encourage shoppers to go into stores. So by displaying store details, such as maps and opening hours for their nearest store. And this is done using zero-party data. So this is when they've given their location, when they've bought, what their address of where they live. And this helps connect that online and offline experience. We can also use this or do this using someone's IP address. So something to bear in mind and test. Do you use the location you have as zero-party data that they've given you, Or do we make it dynamic, and depending on where they are, let's say I'm up in Scotland for the next 3 weeks, change obviously the stores that are relevant to me. Again, something to test and see how your customers react. So as a summary, I'll let Richard summarize on the zero-party data part.
Yeah, absolutely. So to gain zero-party data through gamification, zero-party data allows you to better understand your customers in a truly unique way, whether that's their likes, their dislikes, their attitudes, their opinions, their preferences. But the bottom line is gamification is a perfect tool to help you capture this insight, and not only capture it, but do it in an engaging way that really creates those magic moments with your customers.
Yeah, amazing. I couldn't agree more. And then onto the personalization side, identify users through first-party cookies and unique identifiers. So even for new shoppers, you can offer a personalized experience, so in-session personalization, to ensure they convert and shop with you. And then lastly, in an ideal, something to reach for, combine zero-party data and first-party data to make sure that the two bits of data are speaking together and you are personalizing the journey from what a customer said and what they have inferred through their behavior. So thank you so much for listening, guys. I hope you got some ideas there that you can implement and some things to get you thinking. We'll go into questions in a minute, but if there's anything for myself that there was any questions or anything like that, then please do get in touch using these details here. Vicky Beach at freshrelevance.com, and likewise Richard, these are his details, so please do reach out, and if you've got any questions, then do let us know. So have we got any questions in the chat? What have we got? Any coming through? Amazing. I think Richard's just frozen, so I can see one. Does personalization work for every industry? Very interesting question. I think it's break it down into two higher industries or different types. So B2B and B2C. So I think for B2C industries, it does, because if you've got consumers coming to you, obviously you're going to have different segmentation types and all the different content that you're going to be showing. Obviously, if you compare a tool brand with cosmetics, very different shoppers, but the personalized tactics and all the different range of dynamic content types are the same. So how can you streamline that experience and show them something that is relevant? So if I've been browsing a particular tool, as soon as I come back to the site or in email marketing, show me that and let me know what other products could be relevant to me as well. I think we've lost Richard a second, so I will continue talking about every industry. And I suppose something else to bear in mind is B2B. Often it's personalization in B2B. It's harder to prove the conversion rate, really. I think it's often when they come with a challenge that we want to target with these segments, or we want to do this in our email. I think it's just the clear objective and how to measure success needs to be thought out. But then 100% it can be done, and it definitely does work for said people. Have we got any more questions? What else have we got? I know we've got one for Richard, but I think we've lost him. I've got one here. What advice do you have for brands transitioning from third-party cookies? I think a really good place to start is we'll ask the providers that you're using if they are using third-party cookies, because that is going to sting you in the end. Because I know some personalization providers do use them. We don't. We just use first-party cookies. So literally the data that a visitor is using on or doing on site. Oh, he's back.
I'm so sorry about that. My God, the whole of the internet in Dorset has just fallen over, I think. So apologies about that. Did I miss the really difficult question?
No worries. Well, I'm literally just talking about what advice do you have for brands transitioning from third-party cookies. So I'll finish up and then I'll hand that one to you if you want to have a stab. But yeah, I mean, ask the providers, make sure that they're obviously compliant with the new regulations that are coming out. And then, yeah, I suppose if you're doing it as well, it starts at the data. So just make sure you've got first party and zero party data to be using to personalize and obviously, yeah, we'll gamify with your customers. Do you want to add to that one, Richard?
Yeah, well, firstly, I agree with everything you said while I wasn't online. No, I mean, the key thing for any brand today is that you need to be building your own data sets. You need to be developing those relationships directly with your customers, getting permission-based data, zero-party data, first-party data, so that you can build and future-proof your business. There's no two ways about it in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more. And then one for you, Richard. So we have never used gamification before. Where do we start?
Really good question, actually, because a lot of people look at it and think, oh, it's very complicated. I can do some amazing things, but what's the starting point? Our advice, or my advice, is very much start simple. We at Leadfamly, we've got 3 types of game formats, over 30 games, but 3 format types. We have what we call luck games, skill games, and knowledge games. Start with a luck game, something that's really quite simple to set up, very, very engaging with your customers, and you can trial and test it and see how it works with them. So that might be a roll the dice or a spin the wheel, or those types of games that are really, really easy to use, easy to set up, and drive real results very, very quickly. So start simple, test and learn, and then build onto the more complex approaches I would recommend.
Amazing, really good advice there. And then I think we've got one last question, unless anyone is wants to ask a couple more. Could you talk more about setting your KPI for your campaigns, and how would you benchmark these against other marketing activities? If you want to start with this one, and I'll add to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's a big question. So first and foremost is that you shouldn't try and benchmark yourself against other people in the market, because there's a they've got different goals, different objectives, that sort of thing. But in terms of setting benchmarks, I wouldn't necessarily benchmark directly against other marketing mechanisms, particularly in relation to gamification, because gamification enhances and accelerates and drives performance of existing campaigns. It's not a standalone thing. It sits beautifully with your email marketing. It sits beautifully with your on-site web experience. So, but what I'd look at is okay, what are my objectives? What's the return on investment or the return on ad spend that I want to get from it, and start to build KPIs from that, and create your own benchmarks internally. So that you can see how things improve over time, so that you're looking internally against yourself, and so that you can know that you can optimize and drive different levels of performance.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's 2 ways you can think about it, because if you're running a campaign right now and you're yielding the results you are, okay, right, look, what's in that email? How is it speaking to people? Is it speaking to the right segment? So do you need to strip it back a step further and actually think, right, actually, how can we speak to these different segments differently? What games, what content? So you almost have to look at, right, what is it yielding? Can we put more in? But also, let's maybe change our tack to how we segment, or how we target these different groups of shoppers and where they are in the life cycle. And yeah.
Absolutely. And if I could just throw in another example,
Yeah.
We've got a client, and they're called Masai. They're another female fashion brand. And their objective was to collect some information on their customers and to drive sales. And yes, they collected 160,000 people participating. They collected data on all of those. And it drove sales. It reduced their sales cycle from a 4-week sales cycle down to a 1-week sales cycle. So really tangible business results. But one thing that came out of it that they hadn't even thought about was the market insights that they got. You imagine a market sample of 160,000 people basically doing a research project. And from that, they were able to really understand differences by market of what customers want, what their preferences were, and what they were more likely to buy. So they used that data, which was it wasn't an objective at all, completely eye-opening to them. They used that data to streamline their product development, streamline their supply chain mechanisms, and also to really refine their marketing strategy for each individual geography. So you can set KPIs, but look more widely, see what else you can get out of these engagements.
That's a really nice example. Yeah, to tie in. Yeah, you can benchmark, but therefore, what you're benchmarking against, you need to look at what you've got and therefore see the results that come. Amazing. Well, have we got any more questions? I don't think we've had any come through on the chat. If not, speak now or forever hold your peace, and we'll give you back another 10 minutes of your day, guys. We'll give it another second. No, everyone's feeling a bit shy today. Amazing. Well, thank you so much from Fresh Relevance, and yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed today. And yeah, we'll follow up with some content and stuff, guys. But thank you so much for joining.
And thank you from me. It's been an absolute pleasure, Vicky. Thank you for inviting me to attend.
Amazing. All right then, guys. Well, thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.